Call to order the Town of St. John Plan Commission meeting for February 21st, 2024. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll do the roll call.
Joe Gomez-Stagel.
Here.
Pete Clideris. John Gill.
Here.
Bob Valois.
Here.
Angela Mendez.
Here.
Justin Nestor.
Here.
Attorney Adam Decker.
Here.
Engineer John Dykstra.
Here.
And Town Manager Bill Manasopoulos, who is here, just not in his seat right now.
Okay, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda, review of minutes for the January 17th, 2024 regular meeting and the February 7th, 2024 study session. Assume everybody's had the opportunity to review them. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 17th, 2024 Plan Commission regular meeting minutes.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second.
I second it.
Second by Mr. Gomez-Stagel. Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is that for both?
No, it's just, we gotta do February now.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 7th, 2024 study session?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 7th, 2024 Plan Commission study session.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Beloit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have one public hearing for tonight, 2024-01 St. John Business Park. Mr. Slager?
Good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing the St. John Business Park. This is our 55-acre site that is between the tracks on the south side of Joliet, just behind the Hack Cemetery. The property is currently zoned I industrial, and per your zoning ordinance, the purpose of the industrial district is to provide for a wide variety of industrial, commercial, and office uses. The property is also located in a TIF and in the Riverfront Liquor License District. We only have about 35 usable acres after we set aside land for the floodplain and the detention. So we're able to plat 25 just over 1 acre lots. We did receive a variance on November 16th from the BZA that allows for the 1 acre lots where the normal industrial requirement is a 10 acre lot. We've brought this plan before the Plan Commission in November, also in January and in February of this year. Your current industrial zoning has minimal rules, but still parking, landscaping, signage, and lighting requirements are all required, and each of these lots will come before you with their respective users when they, before they can build on any of these lots. They'll have to come before the Plan Commission for site plan approval. We've gone through 3 reviews with the town engineer, and there are a few minor conditions remaining. So we have properly advertised and are here tonight to conduct our public hearing, and we are seeking preliminary plat approval contingent on the final sign-off by your town engineer. So if there's any questions, I can answer them now, or if you want to move into the public hearing, I'll leave that up to you.
Any questions from the commission?
No.
Okay. We'll now move to the public hearing. Yes.
I'm sorry, Jack, just so,
Are we able to ask him questions
Yeah.
now or later?
right after this, you can come up.
We'll just wait then.
I had a couple phone calls and a couple of requests. Could you give a little bit more in-depth of what light industrial you're looking
Sure.
at putting in there?
So the property is zoned industrial, which is a pretty wide open zoning classification per your zoning ordinance. We have designated it as more of a business park. Our intention with the 1 acre lots is to invite businesses potentially contractors, maybe that would have an office space and and a warehouse behind. So your typical, maybe typical of what you see in the other sections of the industrial park, but with landscaping requirements, front yard setbacks, architectural requirements that we will set. So we're looking to create more of a business park, hopefully some public visited businesses more than just contractors and storage.
What are some of the holdups that you have right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can address, there's a couple of small items that they're still working on.
Yeah, there's a few conditional items that require approvals from other agencies. They're in process. They've got those in process. Some involve the floodplain, which would be a map revision eventually. That would not be done right now, but we keep that shown as a conditional item that would be down the road in the future. That wouldn't prevent them beginning construction.
That wouldn't prevent them?
No,
from-
because they have to do the grading first in order to then do an as-built and then submit that to FEMA. So there's a process with that, and they're consistent with that. There's a few comments that are minor corrections on the plans. They're not substantial. That's why in my letter, I identified what needs to be addressed and resolved, and then that could lead to a satisfactory letter from me to the Plan Commission. We weren't quite at that point, but they're almost there, and it's really up to the Plan Commission as it concerns the public hearing. I said, I'm not in the way of you going forward with that, so that's certainly your call, yeah.
So you felt there was still a little need for them to correct this, or what was the holdup?
The letter, my letter's in here. I mean, I could go through it if you want me to.
No, just a minor detail. 'cause I read
Yeah,
your letter.
like there's a few comments pertaining to the stormwater pollution prevention plan, a couple little changes.
Those have an impact on the,
It doesn't have much of an impact.
when you say that much of an impact, what is that much?
It's more of a plan thing. It's not, it wouldn't affect like lots, position, detention ponds, the major items in a development, storm sewers, sanitary or water main. It wouldn't affect that.
Won't affect any of
No,
this?
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
They're gonna open it up.
Oh, well, we live on the street right
Just one second, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So we live on the street.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
When we open the public hearing, then you can,
Come up and say your name and address, and then say what you have to say.
it's,
All right, let's,
it's okay.
yeah,
It's
let's get to
okay.
that. We'll open the public hearing, just some ground rules. Members of the public are invited to come up and speak. You do need to give your name and address, and observe all proper decorum. So, sir, if you'd like to, please,
Yep.
please. It's just a process, we just have to get through it.
Oh, yeah.
What's the first time? So, well, first of all, I love St. John because it's private, it's quiet. There's some industrial stuff already here in business parks,
Sir,
but.
can we get your name and your address?
Oh, I'm
for the record?
Stephen Denise. I live at 9876 Hart Street, which is about almost at the end of where they're proposing their park, right? It's quiet back there, and we can see the pond that's back there, right? That he wants to fill in or just, no? Okay. There's some trees back there. It's nice at night. It's quiet. There's no lights from industrial buildings. It's safe. There's no trucks coming in and out of there at night or in the day. Depending on the business that's going to be back there, we don't know. The traffic on Joliet Street is not great right now. There's no, what are they going to do about the extra trucks, the extra businesses? Is there going to be a semi backing in there at midnight? You know, like for some company that wants late deliveries, whatever, you don't know. The lights at night, they're gonna have a 100-foot light for lighting in the back there. It's gonna affect our backyards. This is all personal stuff because I like living back there. It's quiet, right? The floodplain stuff, it's pretty low back there. So again, accounting for the water, It's not gonna really affect us, because I've looked back there, it's lower than our lot, so that's not a thing. Ours is just the noise, the traffic, the lighting, and what kind of businesses are gonna really end up being back there, that's all. Okay, so, just some ideas. No one else from our street, they live on our block, so it affects them also, you know. I know you want more taxes, you want businesses, you want people to come here and work and live, but it takes away the feeling of the St. John, St. John, right? So, the other question is access. The tracks are on both sides. You can't go south to get out of there, right? You can't come from the east or the west, south of there, right? There's no way to get in there from 231. You can't, you're not gonna go across the tracks anywhere in between there, are you? Right? Everything's gonna come in from the north. So what are you gonna do to account for traffic turning east and west? Semis are gonna be going back in there. You just can't say they're gonna be little pickups or service trucks, right? Vans. You don't know what's gonna go back in there. I don't know. It seems like it's pretty deep to go as far as they're gonna go into there. You know, to me, it's just gonna be a lot of headaches with the whole traffic flow, the lighting. Now they're gonna have a body shop back there with pollution. You know, they have ovens. Just, are you gonna have a regulation what they can put back in there? Are gonna be some,
So each individual business, if this gets approved, will have to come before the zoning board.
so what would be is there stuff already down? I don't know.
So I can get you a list of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in certain zones, in certain areas.
Right, yeah.
And I have your address, and I'll grab your
These are
email
just the
information.
concerns we have, like,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, we sit out there at night with the sunset. Are there gonna be 150-foot high, like, sodium vapor lights lighting up the whole back there now, you know?
We will get all that information. Again, this is just the primary plat. As far as lighting and what goes in there comes on later.
Because, so, like, weight limit on trucks, are they ever gonna be able to go east on Joliet? Or everything's gonna have to come off of 41 to go back in there?
So I can check and Adam, maybe you can, I mean, I don't know the.
Are they gonna
the
be
weight
sitting
limit
there
on
waiting to
that
turn left?
individual
with
road.
Traffic?
Right. But all of your concerns, we're writing them down, and we will address them at that time.
I try to think of some more, and I'm
No,
just,
absolutely. And if you
Okay.
think of anything else, after you leave here, feel free to call us also.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Anyone else who would like to come forward from the public?
I have one question. Tina Garza, 987 Hart Street, St. John. What is this going to do with our property values, our taxes and property values?
So,
Well, yes, actually, it's the market value that we are actually looking at. Is that what you're talking about? What is the potential? Is it gonna lose?
Is our property going to be devalued because we're living right behind an industrial? I'm used to before where we have the new warehouses, because I work in East Chicago, I teach in East Chicago. So it used to be nice driving through there, you see the deer. I'm not a big fan of deer, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it used to be nice, and now we have all these big warehouses. It's kind of like, are we gonna end up living in an area that's going to look like part of East Chicago and industrial parks? That's not why I moved out here.
I think they proposed certain design controls so they won't look like industrial warehouses.
They did do a good job on the warehouses. I like the landscaping. It's
so-
not bad, but it's still a bunch of warehouses.
And we're making note of everything you're saying, and we're going to give Mr. Slager the opportunity to come back and try to address some of these concerns as well, as far as, like types of businesses, some of the design control things that they're going to have to do to make them look as nice as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? At this point, we can read the two in, right? Okay. We have two letters that were submitted for public comment. I'm going to go ahead and read those into the record. The first is from Edward Marek, M-A-R-E-K, address 10135 West 93rd Avenue, St. John. Letters as follows: to the Town of St. John Plan Commission, please read this into your public comments for the 1/17/24 meeting. Obviously, it's for the meeting today and not on January 17th. I oppose more development which would bring trucks, semis, and traffic to Joliet Street. The proposed intersection would be too close to the railroad crossing. There appears to be a for sale sign for this development already up. We don't need a third lane bridge on Joliet, especially since the same flowing body of water crosses Hart Street without any designation. It is a bridge, weight limit, or guardrail can enter/exit at 109th. There's some other text in there, but it is not germane to the present discussion. So that one has been read into the record. We have a second letter that's been submitted from Carlo Demma, D-E-M-M-A. I don't see an address on here. It's addressed to the Town Council. Public comment for the, or actually it says Town Council, should be for the Plan Commission. Public comment for today, February 21st, 2024. Dear presiding members of the Plan Commission and Town Council, I humbly and sincerely apologize for missing the town meeting and regret not being able to make my comments in person. My support for the St. John Business Park is contingent on the various types of industrial zone businesses that may be approved there. I think that St. John lacks small businesses and can use new storefronts and offices. Although I do not want to stand opposed to progress and the betterment of our great community, what specifically concerns me is the zoning of this parcel as, quote, industrial, period, end quote. Industrial zoning opens a larger array of potential business, some of which may pose as a threat to human health and the environment. Industrial zones may contain businesses such as manufacturing outfits, production lines, and painting/coating facilities, just to name a few. Three Springs subdivision is less than a quarter of a mile from the proposed business park. So my concern is that the approval to parcel this land may pose a risk to the subdivision. My concerns can be easily alleviated if the commission/council votes to rezone this area to commercial zoning. Then we as community members of this subdivision may have better assurances that nothing may pose a threat to our health and welfare in the future. If rezoning is not an option, I request that the commission/council vow to not approve any potential industrial businesses that may be a threat to the health and well-being of the Three Springs subdivision, and further, to take special care that any business parcel owner in this area be a, quote, good neighbor to our subdivision next door. Dust mitigation, light pollution, and noise prevention would be my three main concerns moving forward for any business that wishes to locate next to our subdivision. Along with those three main concerns, if this business park is approved, I would like to specifically request the requirement for landscape cover alongside the train tracks to act as a buffer to not create or extenuate any nuisances that the potential future businesses may create. Further, I request that the commission/council impose stricter height requirements on lighting in the area so any proposed business in the park may not cast light onto any part of the nearby Three Springs subdivision, phase 1, 2, or 3. Warm regards, Carlo Demma.
And Carlo is also on Hart Street.
Okay. Anyone else from the public that would like to come up? Give it the opportunity 3 times, so I'll ask again. Anyone else who would like to come up for public comment? Yes, sir?
My name is Richard Garza. I live at 9874 Hart Street. So I don't know the procedures, like you said, after everybody's concerned what's going to go on there. Is anything approved, or you got to wait to, what's the next step? What might as well say, what would be the next step for these guys to get approval to do what they want to do?
This is the first step of the process for them to get a preliminary plat, so they can start doing work in there and moving toward, actually putting businesses in there though too. So it's in the very, very early stages. And like the town manager had explained, any business that comes in is still gonna have to come before this Board of Zoning to get approval for that too, to make sure that they're within an allowable use that can be in there as well. So there's a lot of steps.
So is there like would there be like another meeting before anything gets approved that people can, express more of their opinion, or before anything's approved, or do they get approval and then once, like said down the road, a business wants to come in, then we have a chance to speak up to say, well, this business ain't gonna fit this plot over here because of certain reasons or not? How does it work? That's, my
business would have to
concern,
come in, right?
is these
Yeah,
guys get
each
approval?
business would come in for a site plan approval where they'd show their building on their lot with a lighting plan, a landscape plan, and everything, lot by lot, it would go.
And I understand what you're saying, when that business comes and applies for a permit and blah, 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 to get a business, okay?
Well, they would do that before they even do that. So
Okay.
that's what they would do before they even build a building.
And
They
then
would
it's
have-
up to the council to approve that then? Or is it?
we would give a site plan approval at this plan commission, yes.
Okay,
This
that's-
is just divvying up the land into the lots, and that gives the developer the approval to put in infrastructure. So they could start on water
So at no other
mains.
given time, we will ever have another chance to speak up what goes in there, what doesn't go in there, besides you.
Well, one by one as the businesses come. So when somebody comes for lot 5 to say, we want to do this
Whatever.
building on lot 5, then you would have the chance to come
But
and
I'm-
say,
my concern is, we won't have no more after this to ever speak up again. Whatever goes in there, it's gonna be the council approval only. Am I correct?
well, no, this plan commission would give a site plan approval to everybody's site before they built any building on any of the lots.
No, that's what I'm saying. So after today, we won't have no more to say about this whole thing.
I mean, it's the whole development.
I mean, that's.
Right,
what-
if
Okay,
they
that's
get,
how I would.
if they get the site
sure.
plan approval today, that locks in the amount of lots and the streets and everything like that, yes.
No, I understood, that's all I just wanted to know. So the rest is gonna be up to the board and the council to approve anything and goes on from there. Okay, that's all I need to know.
Thank you.
I want you to clarify that, because I think he thinks that once we approve it, that's it, that they're, and I think you made it clear for me, for everybody.
Yeah, well, that would make this design permanent, and then, like I said, lot by lot, they would,
I hope you understand that this is just looking at the design and approving the plot, and then what's gonna happen is that if it's approved, they can work on their infrastructure, the waters and everything. And then if there's a business that's going to come in that may have an impact on your properties, on the properties that are there, that's when you could come up here and demonstrate. We don't want, for the lack of bad example here, let's say they're gonna have a strip joint right there, okay? There, you're gonna say, boom, no. So that's, and I had to use that. I'm sorry, so you have time for all those little sections, okay? Okay? That's all. Not, I had to put it to the extreme so you can understand.
That same example. Same example.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you would like to come before, if you have a comment, please feel free to come up. Just give us your name and your address, and that's okay.
My name is Sherry Hammermeister. I live at 10215 West 99th Ave in Three Springs. My question is like the gentleman that was before me, is it already approved for industrial already? Can it be switched to commercial? Or is it set in stone that it's industrial? I guess that's my,
Presently zoned as industrial, correct?
yes.
so it can never be changed to commercial? Because if it's commercial, you won't have all these big trucks.
Big factory, okay.
You know, like what he's saying is that, if it's commercial, there really won't be semis in there, right?
Well,
If
I
it's
think,
commercial zoned. If it's industrial, yes, you can have semis and whatnot go back there, correct?
you could still have semis in commercial, I mean,
Well, I
Strax
guess,
is
but
zone
not as much
C2,
as it
but
would be if it was
they get
industrial.
Semis.
So, and maybe, so this might help. The plat that they're trying to get approved today is 1 acre lots. So it's not like we're
Okay.
approving 10 or 15 acre lots where you're gonna see a warehouse go up. Anything that goes up on one of these lots will have to come before, again,
Again, but this
This
plot
is-
is
this
for
is how-
industrial.
Right, it's zoned industrial, but it's being plotted on 1 acre lots.
Okay, but it still cannot be, once you guys approve this plat, it will not be changed to commercial, right? It'll always be industrial?
The owner of the property would have to make that request to have it rezoned. The town does not own that property. So
Right.
we cannot make that request on their behalf. They've asked that it stay zoned industrial, so that's why there has not been a rezone petition.
Because they want to put 1 acre buildings on it.
They
Or,
gotta.
you know, the pieces of property are 1 acres.
Correct.
Okay, but I guess that's my concern is, like yours concern is, if it can be changed from industrial to commercial.
It could be, but that petition would have to be before us, and that's up to the owner of the property to
Okay.
ask that.
So we can't, as people that live,
It's private property
so
that's
we
owned by
can't
a
change,
private
have them
entity.
change the zoning of it.
No, because we do not own the property.
How about if a company, somebody comes in and say, well, I'll buy 3, can they convert 3 acres? I mean, 3 of the 1 acres, can they convert it? Can they buy 3 of them and put a factory in there? Something like that? Can that happen?
If they did that, they'd have to come before the board and have a public hearing to re-subdivide and change the lots into one big lot. So you'd be notified again.
And will we have a chance to speak up?
It would be the same process as this with a public hearing for a re-subdivision.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. I'll ask, go through another round if there's any additional public comment. Second chance for any public comment. And after the third chance, with that, public comment is closed.
Okay, so I wanted to address a couple of the issues that were raised, and I should have talked a little bit more about the traffic and the access. As far as the improvements on Joliet Street, we are going to do an acceleration, deceleration lane coming in and out, in addition to a dedicated left turn lane. So if there is traffic coming from the east wanting to turn south into the development, there is a dedicated left turn lane where traffic can sit so that there's never any obstruction to the east-west flow of traffic through that area. As far as the lighting, I know several people brought up lighting. That's obviously, you guys have a lighting ordinance. It has to follow the lighting ordinance. You don't allow spillover outside the lot. All the lights have to shine in, height requirements, all that sort of thing. And I just want to be clear on the zoning. The property was zoned industrial, has always been zoned industrial. We didn't ask for it to be zoned industrial. We purchased it. It was already zoned industrial. I believe the town, at some point, zoned that property industrial because it was between 2 sets of tracks. They provide a natural buffer adjacent to any residential development. I believe that's why Three Springs has a row of duplexes up against the tracks. That's the buffer from single-family to duplex to the railroad tracks to the industrial zoning. You know, our intention is to make it a business park. We're calling it a business park and not an industrial park. We are hoping to attract businesses, possibly commercial. Commercial is allowed in industrial zone. Our intention is for it to be more of a commercial site than an industrial site. I know that's a fine line. Some businesses will be a combination of commercial and industrial. I don't see heavy usage of semis. That's just not what we're interested in. I can tell you last year when we first started this project and started talking to the town, we were actually approached by the town and wanted to know if we were interested in entertaining a recycle transfer station on the property. It's one of the very few last remaining pieces of industrial zone property in St. John, and there was a recycle transfer station interested in locating in St. John. The town of St. John approached us, and we said, that's not what we want on this property. That's not fair to St. John. We realize it's zoned industrial. We're not looking for industrial use on this property. So we are interested in developing a business park, and that's why we chose the 1 acre lots.
At this point, Chair would entertain a motion on the proposed preliminary plat for the St. John Business Park.
Oh, that's what we're going to approve, yeah, and find the facts like our attorney said, you know. Right spots there. Each one of us would have to say, so based on the findings of fact. That's what I'm thinking. The attorney would be able to help us out on that. Sir, based on our decision, we have to base our decision of findings of facts for a preliminary primary plat of the subdivision. Is that correct?
Well, Mr. Gomestagel, the Plan Commission can consider approval of the primary plat this evening. The packet does contain the items that would be considered by the Plan Commission, and any motion including those findings or reciting those findings, either to support or, to deny the motion, I think should be made. I think that helps support the record of the Plan Commission. It's, in my opinion, probably not absolutely required, but I do think it helps to support the record of the Plan Commission. So for that reason, I would recommend that if a motion is made for approval of the plat, that there be a reference to those findings of fact in the packet.
I guess the options are a motion to approve, deny, or we could defer too, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Based on the conditional items that still need to be done. So, Chair, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve, referencing finding of facts.
All of them?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. President, I know there's a motion and a second. I know that the letter from Robinson indicates that there are certain items that were identified in the letter from the engineer. So it might be appropriate to make any such approval expressly contingent upon satisfaction of those items identified by Robinson Engineering. I think specifically comments 1, 2, 4, 8, and 9 that require further resolution. Is that correct, John?
That's correct.
Does the motion need to be renewed to make it be amended?
I would ask Mr. Valoy to submit an amended motion if that's his inclination.
I will amend my motion.
Motion to contingently approve the preliminary plat based on the concerns outlined by Robinson.
Yes.
there a second?
I'll second that.
How long, I have a question, if you don't mind. How long would it take for them to get back to you to meet your requirements?
That's up to
Up to them?
them, yeah.
How long would it take?
Many of them have already been satisfied. The letter we got on Saturday, so I believe a lot of them have already been resolved. There might be one or two left, but we should have those resolved quickly.
Very quickly.
A week, say a week.
A week?
Yeah.
So if they're not done by a week, what happens?
Well, obviously, your approval is conditioned on satisfaction of those, so we can't start until we've satisfied his list.
So
we
I'm trying
can't
to
do
look at
anything.
The scheduling of, I don't want you to come back here and go through the whole motion again, but I'm just
Yeah.
going to say, if you're saying a week, then if that's the week, that's all I'm looking at, deadline. Boom. A week from today, so that if he gets all the requirements
Well,
completed from you.
as he mentioned, some of the conditional items may take longer than that, we're relying on outside, we have conditional approval on FEMA, that's gonna be months from now, but there are things like that are beyond our control, so it doesn't make sense to put a hard deadline on it. We're going to resolve the issues that he's requested, or we won't be able to start. That's where we're at.
Okay, that's-
So the motion pending with a second already is to conditionally approve the preliminary plat. Do we want to read the findings in, or do we do that, you want to do that after?
Well, again, I think the findings were referenced in the motion. The findings are included in the packet. I know if in the past, as long as those findings have been referenced, they're not specifically read into the record. That can be done, but I don't believe it's required, as long as it's been referenced as part of the motion.
And with that, put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, if I may, there's also the waiver that needs to be considered for the front setback to 30 feet.
Just a separate motion for that?
Yeah.
Yes, it will require separate action to consider a waiver from the standards of the subdivision control ordinance.
Is there a motion for the waiver?
I'll make a motion to grant a waiver to a 30-foot front setback for St. John Business Park.
Second?
Second.
Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on from the public hearing, old or new business. Item B, 2021-06 Greystone, Unit 3, Block 2. Recommendation of the town council for release of 2-year performance letter of credit in the amount of $76,740.40, and also acceptance of the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $155,883.90. Mr. Slager?
Again, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing the Greystone Development. Both of these next two items, B and C on your list, involve Greystone Unit 3, Blocks 2 and 3. At the end of last year, we were able to put the surface coat of asphalt on both sections, and the town subsequently did a inspection. We did some repairs out there, and so now we are at the point where everything has been approved and accepted, and we are ready to move from performance to maintenance on both of those sites.
Mr. Dykstra, I believe that you guys have reviewed this as well.
Yes, we did. And you'll find in your packet, there's two letters, because there's two parts to this. There's the release of the performance bond, and then the recommendation about the maintenance. And they chose cash escrow, so that was the option they used, so.
Those have both been paid already.
Yeah, and the receipts, I attach, if there is a receipt, I do attach it to the letter, so it just makes it clear to find it, yeah.
Okay. You didn't identify any issues, everything seemed
No,
fine?
no issues. Our staff was involved with town staff in doing the inspection, and it reached a point where that was satisfactory. Everyone was, and I think Jack had his personnel out there too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they corrected whatever was identified, they corrected that. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the panel?
No.
Chair would entertain a motion. There are two in play here. The first would be recommendation for release of the 2-year performance letter of credit in the amount of $76,740.40.
Make a recommendation that the town council release the 2-year performance letter of credit in the amount of $76,740.40 for Greystone Unit 3, Block 2.
Motion by Mr. Gill, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gomez-Sigel. Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next would be consider a motion for acceptance of the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $155,883.90.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $155,883.90 for Greystone Unit 3, Block 2.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Belay.
Beat me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Favorable recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, item C, 2021-06 Greystone Unit 3, Block 3. Consideration for recommendation to Town Council for release of the 2-year performance cash escrow in the amount of $13,200, and then also acceptance of the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $121,868.10. There's two. Yeah, there's block 2. Block 2 and then block 3. The other one was added, I believe, correct?
Yeah, the other one was. We already approved B and C.
No, we just did B.
We did B.
We just
too.
did B?
The 2 and
Yeah.
B.
Okay,
There's two for B and 2 for C.
all right.
Mr. Dykstra, also, say, any concerns with these?
No,
in
no
this space?
concerns. Similar to the other one, it went through the same process where it was inspected with staff and Robinson personnel. And any identified items were corrected to everyone's satisfaction, so, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the panel?
No.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion for a favorable recommendation of Town Council for release of the 2-year performance cash escrow in the amount of $13,200.
I'll make a recommendation to the town council to release the 2-year performance cash escrow in the amount of $13,200 for Greystone Unit 3, Block 3.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mendez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, recommendation for to the town council for acceptance of the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $121,868.10.
Make a recommendation for the acceptance of the 2-year maintenance cash escrow in the amount of $121,868.10 for Greystone Unit 3, Block 3.
Motion by Mr. Gill, is there a second? Second by Ms. Mendez. Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item D, 2024-04, Plan Commission Rules and Regulations. Consider resolution to approve and re-adopt the rules and regulations of the Plan Commission.
Yeah,
Becker?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The rules and regulations of the Plan Commission were last formally updated in 2017. Back in 2020, there were a couple of minor changes made for purposes of or to revise the notice of public hearing requirements. Currently, The requirement is that there be publication in 2 newspapers, one time at least 10 days in advance of the public hearing. And the purpose of consideration of the motion to update the rules is simply to make a couple of those minor changes, to make the rules consistent with what was adopted by the Plan Commission back in 2020. Also, there's a change with regard to the day of the meeting and the study session. So the rules had set forth when those occurred. The changes would be made to conform to what the current schedule is for the study sessions and for the regular meetings. So that's what will be considered, or what is proposed to be considered by the Plan Commission, and the approval of the updated rules simply requires a vote on a motion to make those updates.
Questions, comments? Would entertain a motion for a resolution to approve and readopt the rules and regulations of the Plan Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Vloy, second by Mr. Goensagel. Put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, 2024-05, Continental Unit 1, lots 12 through 14. Mr. Slager, welcome back.
Yeah, good evening. Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing the Continental. This is 3 lots that were in the original Phase 1 of Continental that we are converting to 2 lots now. So each will be essentially a lot and a half. Formerly lots 12, 13, and 14, split lot 13 down the middle, and we debated back and forth between myself and Mr. Dykstra as to the proper numbering of the new lots. We can just pick a number, but rather than renumbering them 1 and 2, since we already have a lot 1, we have several lot 1s in the Continental, we decided to go with 13 and 14. But it's pretty straightforward. This is the 3rd time we've done this in Continental, either splitting up lots or combining lots. And I know the purchaser of 14 and half of 13 is planning to build this spring, so they are anxious to get this going. We're treating tonight like a study session. Our intention would be to advertise for our public hearing a month from now, and potentially come in and request primary and final plat on the same night, because it's a minor revision.
It's just to make 3 lots into 2.
Yep.
I mean, they're bigger, right?
Yep, right.
If somebody wants to build a bigger house.
Yep.
Jack, you know my concerns. The
Extra B-box?
yes, in the sanitary tabs. Can we cut and cap, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I remembered Bob's concern on some other lot changes, and I intended to have that mentioned in the final letter, and Jack is well aware of that as also. So, yeah. And of course, they may not know exactly which one will be used
Right.
depending on the house
Understand.
layout, and
Yeah,
then
just as long as we don't end up with a spare hanging out there,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good
But he'll
catch.
do his homework and come back ready to go. That's what I just heard? Fair enough.
We'll be ready. Thank you.
Item F, 2024-06, Franciscan Alliance, proposed preliminary plat of Franciscan Health, St. John Medical Center.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Jim Weiser, and I'm the attorney for the project. And I have with me from Town of Blank tonight Representative Ted Schwant, who's here with me. But I do have to ask just a quick question, Janet. Did they talk to you about coming in on Zoom?
Yes, Connor and Alan are both here.
Are they on? Mm-hmm. That's good, or we'd be real short meeting. Because I can do some legal, but not a whole lot of engineering. So let me just, because we've been before the Plan Commission, but several of you are new and haven't heard our presentation. I'm not going to take up a lot of time, but we have been here. This is property that's located south of Alsip Nursery. It's 31 acres. Originally, 21 was zoned commercial, 10 was zoned open space. Ultimately, the town council in January approved the 10 acres to be zoned commercial as well. So now all 31 acres is zoned commercial. The idea from Franciscan Alliance is to put a rather large medical health center facility there. It will start out, and I'm sure Connor, and who else is on there? Did you say? Huh? Alan, okay. They'll talk to you a little bit about what is proposed there, and then you're free to obviously ask any questions that you might have. But it's going to be a health center that's going to provide health care services ultimately for virtually everything. It's going to be, it's originally going to be one story. That's the original one. Phase 2 is planning, the hope is that it'll be ultimately 3 stories and provide all these services. And so there's a lot of infrastructure work that goes into it. There's also going to be a number of variances that are going to be required from the US 41 overlay district, but that's another issue and for another board for the BZA. But that kind of sets the table for what they're doing here and what's being done. And you could say, I was just going to ask if you could see the kind of like what the concept looks like. These are renderings, this is a concept, and if we can go through it real quick, you get a sense of what that initial phase is going to look like. It's going to be about 40,000 square feet, and providing a variety of medical services and health services, and then will ultimately be expanded to provide even more. And you can get a sense of, you see, like the entry drive, we've provided this, and I don't know if you have it in your packet, but I assume that you do, and that that this is the concept, this is the idea. We have our engineers on Zoom, so that if you have questions, because that's really, I think, what we're talking about, since we have to comply with the subdivision, the standards put forth in your subdivision control ordinance, and that's primarily engineering design and design relative to infrastructure. And we certainly will be glad and happy to have that discussion with you this evening. So that's kind of a broad base of where we're at and where we've been and where we're at. Now we're at the primary subdivision phase. And in addition to that, as I told you before, we'll be going to the Board of Zoning Appeals for for variances, but we certainly want to make sure that we're capable of getting approval for primary subdivision. So having said all that, I'm happy to have my cohorts on the engineering side respond to any questions you may have, unless there are some that I can possibly react to. So I appreciate that. So thank you.
I knew that from what prior meetings, that a lot of those questions were addressed as far as the nature of the land and how it could be built back there. Just from a timeline, are you anticipating wanting to come for a hearing, or?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, that's why we're here this evening, to present it to you in the workshop, and then to request that we be scheduled for a hearing on the primary for primary subdivision approval, perhaps hopefully at your next meeting in March.
Okay. Questions, comments?
I don't have any.
You're saying you might be having a 3-story or 2-story?
Yes, that's always been in the plans, and we've presented that since day one.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The base would be the first story. That should be enough to hold the second story. I mean, the engineers would know that. That's what I'm just kind of
Yeah.
concerned with, because we're.
Well, yeah,
sitting-
I'm hopeful they designed it that way.
Oh, no, well, yeah, they may say
Yeah.
we're designing it that way, and they may not do it. That's what I'm trying to ask.
No, it's going to be designed, the project itself, the whole project, and the first story is going to be designed to be sufficient enough to hold a second, and to be the foundation for a second and third story.
Are there going to be parking stories, or any parking elevators, or like they have over there in Munster, where you have another building that's only for parking,
Like a parking garage?
parking garages?
There's no, and
I mean, you can build
either
a-
Con or Alec, you
or-
could jump in, but there's no parking garage, it's all surface parking. That, quite frankly, that was the main purpose for the acquisition, or that's a primary purpose, for the acquisition of that 10 additional acres, was to provide for parking.
Nothing further? Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, do you, I just ask, because you're a new commission, I'm not sure, will you just take a motion tonight, or just let us know that we've been approved to start up to begin our advertising and everything for the primary subdivision?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the Plan Commission rules actually provide that the Plan Commission can take a vote to allow the applicant to proceed with public hearing. If the Plan Commission is not prepared for that, it doesn't have to do that, but there are provisions in the rules to allow a public record to be made by a vote to authorize the applicant to proceed to public hearing.
And that, essentially, that is what we're seeking tonight.
Chair, is there a motion?
Got a question?
Part of the, is he with you?
I don't believe so, no.
No, I'm from the public. I don't know if I can ask.
Well, there's no public hearing tonight.
No public hearing.
Just a study, it's just a
I
work
guess you
session.
can come up during public comment, right?
There is public comment
Yeah.
following the agenda item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the motion at this point, okay, John.
Mr. President, I just want to point out, because he didn't not mention that they did do a full engineering submittal on this. I believe it was on February 9th, and we do have that, all their documentation. It's under review now for engineering review. The results of that review are not done yet, but that's part of the process that they will have to go through, just like the business park also is being reviewed.
Probably should have checked with you first before I did that. Is there a timeline that you need?
We're expecting to get a letter back to them, to their engineers, probably sometime next week is what it looks like, which will be before the next study session and definitely before a public hearing, so.
And I know we'll certainly be prepared to respond as soon as possible, so I think, I feel comfortable that we'd have all the information, or that substantially all the information you're going to need at your public hearing.
I guess, can we do, entertain a motion that it would be ready for public hearing, subject to any concerns that Robinson may have? Conditioned upon that?
I'll make a motion to authorize the public hearing, conditional upon them satisfying Robinson's concerns.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed?
okay. Oh, you said it wanted to, okay, well,
I just want him to have all the papers so that we're at least in the right track.
Joe, that was
Were you
that a
opposed,
nay?
Mr. Gomez?
That's a nay.
A nay. 4-1, okay, thank you.
okay, all right, thank you very much.
That's all for old and new business. Public comment, sir, if you'd like to come up, just have your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, John Schaefer, 14290 West 94th Avenue. Question regarding the last presentation. I would just like to, and this may come up at public hearing, so it may not be the proper place to ask, but with this type of development going in, are they exempt from any taxes? And will they apply for TIF funding? Because if it's a business going in that's not supplying any taxes to the community, they don't supply any sales tax, our community can no longer keep putting in businesses like this that are not generating sales tax. We won't sustain the community with roads and police and fire and everything else that we need to do in this community the way we're expanding. If we're not providing good sales tax generating businesses, we're not going to be able to keep going. This is once again, I don't know if they may produce property tax. I don't know. They may be exempt from that because of being a medical facility. This is prime real estate on 41. So just something for the Plan Commission to consider in the future and maybe research that to see how that would affect the community and affect the TIF in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for public comment? With that, no further agenda items. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.